Chapter 4988. Lu Ming's move had shocked everyone. To be able to so easily break apart a 7-man array formation, this level of combat strength was likely not the result of one breakthrough, but possibly 2 breakthroughs. 2 extreme breakthroughs. This person was actually a peerless expert who had broken through twice. Han Yu and the rest of the human race were overjoyed. They were saved. The 9 demonic spiders, led by Zhu Shi, were furious. They couldn't deal with a cultivator who had broken through the extreme state twice. However, the top source-level divine medicine had fallen into Lu Ming's hands. Zhu Shi was unwilling to give up a top source-level divine medicine. No one would be willing to let such a fat piece of meat slip away just like that. Kid, how dare you take my divine medicine? Do you know who I am? Do you know who my brother is? Hand over the top source-level divine medicine if you know what's good for you. Zhu Shi shouted. Lu Ming looked at Zhu Shi as if he were an idiot. Who's your brother? Lu Ming asked casually. My brother, Zhu Tian. Zhu Shi sneered. What? Zhu Tian? Han Yu and the others exclaimed, and their faces changed as if they had heard something terrible. Zhu Shi smiled proudly and looked at Lu Ming. He wanted to show a shocked expression on Lu Ming's face. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Lu Ming didn't look shocked at all, as if he had heard the name of a stranger. Zhu Tian? I've never heard of him. Lu Ming said. You're lying through your teeth. You've never heard of my brother? Zhu Shi shouted. Nonsense, I've never heard of him. Well, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I'll send you to hell now. Lu Ming said coldly. What? You want to kill me? Zhu Shi yelled in disbelief. After hearing his brother's name, not only did he not return the top source-level divine medicine, but he also wanted to kill him? Was this person a lunatic? Who among the 6 forces of the universe hadn't heard of his elder brother's name? In the era when Origin Source did not appear, his big brother's combat strength was practically standing at the peak. Han Yu and the others also looked shocked. Brother, this man's elder brother, Zhu Tian, is a top expert who has broken through 3 times. Han Yu reminded him. Break the limit thrice? Lu Ming was puzzled. What did that mean? Was it a measure of combat power? Let's go! At this time, Zhu Shi ordered the other 9 demonic spiders to retreat. From Lu Ming's expression, he knew that he most likely wouldn't be able to get the top-grade source-grade divine medicine back. Leaving was the best course of action. He would take his revenge in the future. You want to leave? Lu Ming's voice was filled with killing intent. He had no intention of letting the other party leave. From the looks of it, his elder brother was an extremely terrifying expert. From this, it could be seen that his elder brother's status in the 9 demonic spider clan was not low. Since he had offended the other party, he had to get rid of the other party completely. Otherwise, the other party wouldn't let him off so easily. It would be better to get rid of them completely to prevent future troubles. Buzz. The war god's spear vibrated and a huge spear aura pressed down on Zhu Shi and the others. How dare you? Zhu Shi shouted. He had never thought that Lu Ming would dare to attack him. However, the terrifying power of the spear aura made his face turn pale. He shouted and tried to resist with all his might. The other 9 demonic spiders also tried their best to resist. However, given their strength, how could they resist Lu Ming? Even if Lu Ming only used a part of his strength, it was still not something they could resist. Some of the weaker 9 demonic spiders exploded and died on the spot. Only a few peak divine masters and Zhu Shi survived, but they were also severely injured. My elder brother won't let you go, Zhu Shi shouted crazily and retreated quickly. However, Lu Ming continued to attack. Zhu Shi barely managed to block 2 attacks before he was killed by Lu Ming. All the 9 demonic spiders were killed. None were left alive. Lu Ming quietly put the storage bags of the 9 demonic spiders into the ancient desolation ring. In the distance, Han Yu and the others were still shocked. However, they soon recovered. Han Yu and the other 5 flew to Lu Ming. Han Yu cupped his fists and said, I'm Han Yu. Thank you for your help. Brother, you look very unfamiliar. May I know your name? I'm Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming? Han Yu and the others were puzzled. There were many people with the same name. They had heard of Lu Ming before, but they had never heard of anyone with such combat strength. Moreover, they had never seen Lu Ming before. When did such an expert appear in the human clan? They had seen all the experts of the human clan. Judging from the combat strength of Lu Ming, even if he had not broken through the second extreme break, he was not far away. Why had they never heard of such an expert? Han Yu, it's great that you're all right. At this time, a voice sounded. It was Lu Weiyang. He saw that Lu Ming had killed the 9 demonic spider's men and was flying toward them. He was pleasantly surprised and worried about Han Yu. Han Yu frowned and despised Lu Weiyang in her heart. He had betrayed them and escaped alone, but now he was pretending to be worried. Did he think she was a fool? Couldn't he tell? Therefore, Han Yu did not treat him well. The other 5 did not treat him well either, but they did not turn hostile on the spot for the sake of their acquaintance. Lu Weiyang pretended not to see the expressions of Han Yu and the others. He turned his gaze to Lu Ming and looked at him carefully. There was a trace of disdain in his eyes. Lu Ming, right? This time, you did well. When we return to the Azure Divine Realm, I will put in a good word for you. Lu Ming frowned slightly. When Lu Weiyang spoke to him, his attitude was like a superior speaking to a subordinate. It was like an emperor speaking to a commoner. Where did his confidence come from? Seeing that Lu Ming did not speak, Lu Weiyang continued, Lu Ming, you just got the top source-grade divine herb. Now take it out. He spoke in a superior tone again, as if he was ordering Lu Ming. This time, even Han Yu could not stand it. Lu Weiyang, we were saved because of Lu Ming. Moreover, you gave the top source-grade divine herb to Zhu, and Lu Ming got it from Zhu. You can consider it as Lu Ming's spoils of war. Han Yu said. Spoils of war? Han Yu, can't you see that he only has an inferior bloodline? How can an inferior bloodline be qualified to control a top source-grade divine herb? Lu Weiyang said, and the superior attitude in his tone became stronger. When he looked at Lu Ming, the disdain and arrogance in his eyes were completely undisguised. Inferior bloodline? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. What did that mean? Was there a difference in bloodline among the human race? However, when he carefully examined Lu Weiyang, Han Yu, and the others, he did sense something different. Although Lu Weiyang, Han Yu, and the others were also human, their bloodline aura was different from his. Chapter 4989. Lu Ming could feel that Han Yu, Lu Weiyang, and the others were emitting a kind of aura. When he faced this kind of aura, he instinctively felt a sense of pressure. It was like the pressure when facing a real superior. This was not pressure from status, but from instinct and bloodline. It was like the difference between a 9-clawed dragon and an ordinary divine dragon. These people's bloodlines were of a higher grade than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming came to a conclusion. The human clan in the universe, or the minor chiliocosm, should have evolved from the flesh and blood of the human clan experts in the last era. Their bloodlines are definitely not that pure, just like the demon clan. Is this the so-called inferior bloodline? Lu Ming continued to think and speculated based on what Lu Weiyang and the others said. Lu Ming, why don't you hand over the top-grade source-level divine herb? Lu Weiyang stared at Lu Ming and repeated. Top-grade source-level divine herb? What top-grade source-level divine herb? Lu Ming began to play dumb. Lu Ming, don't play dumb with me, Lu Weiyang said coldly. What do you mean play dumb? I really don't know what you're talking about. When I arrived, I immediately attacked the 9 demonic spider. Logically speaking, I killed the 9 demonic spider, so the 9 demonic spider's belongings should be my spoils of war. Even if there is a top-grade source-level divine herb, it should be my spoils of war. What else happened before I came here? Why don't you tell me the details? Lu Ming looked at Lu Weiyang with a puzzled face. Lu Weiyang stuttered and did not know what to say. Should he say out loud that he had betrayed Han Yu and the others and gave them a top-grade source-level divine herb in order to escape alone? How could he say that? No matter how thick-skinned he was too embarrassed to say it again. Damn it! Lu Weiyang roared in his heart. If he didn't say that he was the one who handed it over, then Lu Ming could naturally take the 9 demonic spider's item as his spoils of war. But it was hard for him to say it out loud. Han Yu and the others pretended not to see Lu Weiyang's predicament. They weren't as thick-skinned as Lu Weiyang. Although top-grade source-grade divine medicines were incomparably precious, they were still insignificant compared to their own lives. Lu Ming sneered in his heart. How could he spit out the fat meat in his hands? By the way, Miss Han Yu, what do you mean by the first breakthrough and the second breakthrough? Lu Ming quickly changed the topic. You don't even know this? Lu Weiyang mocked, and his contempt grew even stronger. He was extremely unhappy that Lu Ming had swallowed his top-grade source-grade divine medicine. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't defeat Lu Ming, he would have killed Lu Ming on the spot and taken back the divine medicine. Therefore, he wouldn't let go of the opportunity to mock Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming didn't even look at Lu Weiyang and directly ignored him. Would you bite back when a dog bites you? To be honest, Lu Ming didn't care about someone like Lu Weiyang at all. Why should he care about someone who could be defeated easily? Han Yu and the others were also curious. Lu Ming had such combat strength, but he didn't know this common sense. Brother Lu, are you not from the Azure Divine Realm? Han Yu asked in reply. No. Lu Ming shook his head and said, I don't know about the Firmament Divine Realm. I come from the other side of the universe, which is very far away from here. Lu Ming pointed in the direction of the 1/3 of the universe ruins that they had explored, which was also the direction of the universe's starry sky. You come from the other side of the universe? Han Yu and the others were surprised. Doesn't that mean you come from the same direction as Sister Mulin's? Han Yu was even more curious. Mulin's? Lu Ming immediately caught the keyword and his heart beat wildly. Although there were many people with the same name, Han Yu's meaning was obvious. The Mulin's she mentioned was from the same place as Lu Ming, so it couldn't be wrong. He had planned to ask about Mulan and Huang Ling after he got familiar with Han Yu and the others. He did not expect that Han Yu would tell him about them so quickly. It was perfect. Miss Han Yu, do you know Sister Mulin's? To tell you the truth, I'm here to look for Senior Sister Mulan. Look, isn't this her? As he spoke, he took out a portrait. It was Mulan's portrait. Yes, it's Sister Mulin's. So you're Sister Mulin's junior brother. That's great. After Han Yu saw the portrait, he nodded continuously with a smile on his face. He seemed to have become closer to Lu Ming. Is Sister Mulin's in the Azure Divine Realm now? How do you know her? Lu Ming asked. That's right. She's in the Ashen Azure Divine Realm. As for how we met, it's a long story. Speaking of which, she's our benefactor. If it wasn't for her, we would still be trapped in the Ashen Azure Divine Realm and unable to come out. Han Yu said. Oh, what's going on? Miss Han Yu, can you tell me in detail? Here's the thing. Han Yu explained in detail. After hearing that, Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil and he could not calm down. It turned out that the Azure Divine Realm was a continent that was inhabited by humans. Moreover, they were humans from the desolate continent of the previous era. At the end of the previous era, a shocking war broke out and the primeval continent was destroyed. Countless living beings died and their bodies and souls were destroyed. The Azure Divine Realm was originally a fragment of a continent that was inhabited by some humans. The master of the Ashen Cyan Immortal Realm had used his shocking power and a supreme treasure to seal the Ashen Cyan Immortal Realm in the depths of the void. Furthermore, it was completely sealed. No one from the outside could open the seal, and neither could the humans inside. It was equivalent to being completely isolated from the world. That was the only way the Azure Divine Realm could avoid the disaster. However, the price was that the people inside could not leave even if they wanted to. After the master of the Azure Divine Realm cast the peerless seal, he fell into a deep sleep. Before he fell asleep, he said that the seal of the Azure Divine Realm would be automatically opened only when the primeval void universe was fully recovered and the rules of the universe and ultimacy of the universe were perfected again. Although the universe had recovered, it was far from being fully recovered and the rules of the universe and ultimacy were far from perfect. The people in the Azure Divine Realm could not come out. However, more than 10,000 years ago, Mulan accidentally went outside the Firmament Divine Realm and used a gem to open a seal in the Firmament Divine Realm. As a result, the seal of the Firmament Divine Realm was no longer perfect. The experts in the firmament divine realm worked together to completely open the seal, and the people in the firmament divine realm could see the light of day again. It could be said that Mullins was the savior of the firmament divine realm. From Han Yu's words, Lu Ming learned another important piece of information. The humans in the firmament divine realm were different from the creatures in the Forbidden Land. The creatures in the Forbidden Land were in a sealed state, but the humans in the firmament divine realm were not. Chapter 4990. The creatures in the Forbidden Land were in a sealed state and needed a large amount of resources to awaken. However, the human tribe in the firmament divine realm was different. They continued to reproduce on the continent of the firmament divine realm. However, the cultivation environment in the firmament divine realm was not good. The chaos chi was thin and there was a lack of resources. Although they had reproduced for a long time, there were not many experts. Most of the top experts were survivors of the last era. However, in the last 10,000 years, the cultivation environment in the firmament divine realm was getting better and better. Everything was recovering and the chaos chi was strong. When they opened the seal, they found that the entire universe had begun to recover. Sister Mullins is the savior of the firmament divine realm. Before the origin tribulation came, she became a disciple of a big shot and has been cultivating in the firmament divine realm. Han Yu said, "What about Huang Ling? Isn't she in the firmament divine realm?" Lu Ming could not help but ask. He could tell that Han Yu only mentioned Mullins and did not mention Huang Ling. This was strange. If they were together, why did Han Yu not mention Huang Ling? Huang Ling? Sister Mullins is alone. There is no other person. Han Yu said in surprise. Lu Ming's heart sank. Only Mullins? Where did she go? Something must have happened during this period. It seemed that he could only ask Mullins when he saw her. Miss Han Yu, are you going back to the firmament divine realm now? Let me go with you. Lu Ming said. He could not wait. We won't go back for now. We have to meet up with the others before returning to the firmament divine realm. Han Yu said. The others? Lu Ming was confused. That's right. Not long ago, an ancient divine vein came into being. It nurtured a large number of divine herbs, including many top-notch source divine herbs. Experts from various major forces flocked there to fight for the top-notch source divine herbs. Battles broke out among the various forces. The 7 of us were lucky to get a top source level divine herb and wanted to leave secretly. We did not expect to be targeted by Zhu Shi and the others. That was why the battle happened, Han Yu said. A top-notch source-grade divine herb? Is there more? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. At the mention of top-notch source-grade divine medicines, Lu Ming's heart was moved. Could it be that he came at the right time? There shouldn't be any left. All the major forces have been fighting for it for some time. That divine vein has been searched thoroughly. All the divine herbs have been plundered. We are lucky. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to obtain a top-notch soul-grade divine herb. Han Yu said. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. It seemed that he had come at the wrong time. He was too late. Let's go to the vicinity of the divine range now and meet up with the group. After that, we will return to the Tsongqing divine realm. Brother Lu, let's go together. I will also tell you what is the first stage of breaking extremity and second stage of breaking extremity, Han Yu said. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Han Yu. Lu Ming nodded. Immediately, everyone set off together. On the way, Han Yu explained what breaking extremity was. In fact, it was very simple. The first stage of breaking extremity meant breaking the limit of one's combat power. Normally, the combat power of a top lord of heaven was the limit of a divine master. Those who had the combat power of the strongest Lord of Heaven were overlords who had broken the limit once and were called overlords who had completed the first stage of breaking extremity. For example, Zhu Shi was an overlord who had broken the limit once. Those who had broken the limit twice were overlords who had broken the limit twice. Lu Ming speculated that those who had broken the limit twice were comparable to the Guangqian emissary of the Yuan Guang clan. Above them, there were those who had broken the limit 3 times and were called the Invincible Divine Masters. This classification method had been passed down from the last era of the primeval age. Is the third stage of breaking extremity the limit? Is there no fourth stage of breaking extremity? Lu Ming asked curiously. Fourth stage of breaking extremity? What are you thinking? Is that a level you can reach? Don't be so ambitious. On the side, Lu Weiyang finally seized the opportunity to mock him. Lu Ming continued to ignore him. In theory, the third stage of breaking extremity is the limit, but in fact, there are still fourth stage of breaking extremity, but it's too difficult. Even in the last era of the primeval age, there were very few overlords who had broken the limit. Each of them was invincible and even had the potential to become an immortal. Han Yu said with a yearning look in his eyes. The fourth stage of breaking extremity was equivalent to having the potential to become an immortal. Is my current combat power equivalent to the fourth stage of breaking extremity? Lu Ming thought. The invincible divine masters were third stage of breaking extremity. His combat power was much stronger than the invincible divine masters, so he should be fourth stage of breaking extremity. They chatted as they flew. Han Yu was very patient and told Lu Ming everything he knew, so he knew more about the situation in the depths of the universe ruins. Soon, a large number of continental fragments appeared in the void in front of them. There are many continental fragments nearby and the divine spirit range is further ahead. We have to be careful. We may encounter the masters of the major forces here, Han Yu said. Han Yu whispered. Behind them, they concealed their energy and flew carefully. Hey, is there someone there? Lu Ming suddenly said. The rest of the people were shocked. They followed Lu Ming's gaze and looked at a piece of land fragment. A group of living beings could be seen somewhere on the continent fragment. This group of living beings had demonic appearances, their faces filled with evilness. It's the people of the nefarious race. Han Yu, Lu Weiyang and the others' faces changed. They seemed to be afraid of the nefarious race. It's Moken of the nefarious race. This guy is very lucky. He got 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs before. He's really lucky, Lu Weiyang said in a low voice. His tone was full of jealousy. 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs. Lu Ming's attention was completely attracted by this word. The people of the nefarious race are extremely evil and bloodthirsty. They fight with their lives on the line. Moken's combat power is even stronger. He's an expert who has broken the extremity twice. They haven't found us yet. We should leave quickly. If they find us, we'll be in trouble. Han Yu said. Immediately, they took a detour, carefully circling around the continent fragment, and continued on their way. After walking for a while, Lu Ming suddenly stopped and said, I remember that I have something to do. Can you wait for me here for a while? It won't take too long. Why do you have so many things to do? Lu Weiyang shouted coldly. His tone was still arrogant. If you can't wait, you can leave first. Lu Ming replied coldly. You? Lu Weiyang was furious. This inferior bloodline was so arrogant and had repeatedly contradicted him. One should know that in the last era, humans with inferior bloodlines were all slaves. They had low status and were as lowly as ants. However, to be honest, he did not dare to leave first. Even if they set up a joint attack array, their combat power would at most be comparable to someone who had broken the extremity once. However, Lu Ming's combat power was not at the second break, but at the top of the first break. Chapter 4991. There were many experts gathered here. Once they encountered a strong enemy, their strength would not be enough. Lu Weiyang felt guilty about letting him go first. Lu Ming was very strong. According to Lu Weiyang's judgment, even if he had not broken through twice, he was still a peak existence who had broken through once. With Lu Ming around, they would be much safer. Then we'll wait for you there. Han Yu pointed at a small fragment of a continent not far away. He planned to hide there and wait for Lu Ming to meet up with him. All right, wait for me there. I won't need much time. I'll be back soon. With that, Lu Ming did not stay any longer. His figure flashed and disappeared. Han Yu, Lu Weiyang, and the others entered the small fragment of a continent and waited. Lu Ming had left for the 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs. At this time, Mo Kun was leading a group of dozens of elites from the extreme evil tribe. They were gathered together. Many of them were injured. It was obvious that they had been through a fierce battle not long ago. They were now recovering. A few people surrounded Mo Kun. Young master, you're really lucky. You actually obtained 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs this time. It seems that once the origin tribulation is over, you'll be able to break through to reciprocity soon. An elder from the extreme evil race flattered. Moken also showed a proud and excited smile. This time, his luck was really good. There were at most a dozen top-grade soul-level divine herbs in that divine vein. Many experts from various factions had gathered. There were even many invincible divine lords who had broken through thrice. With his battle prowess, he was nothing compared to the top experts of the various factions. However, he had never thought that he would be able to obtain 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs while he was casually waiting. If this was not unparalleled luck, then what was it? With 2 top-grade soul-level divine herbs, his cultivation speed would definitely increase greatly. After the origin tribulation, breaking through to reciprocity would not be a fantasy. You've all done a great job this time. I won't forget your contributions. You'll be rewarded when we return. Moken said with a smile. Thank you, young master. The elites of the extreme evil race were overjoyed. At this time, Lu Ming silently appeared above the extreme evil race. After all, Moken was an expert who had broken through twice, so his spiritual perception was extremely sharp. He had sensed Lu Ming the moment he appeared. Who? Mo Kuan yelled as he looked into the sky with a sharp gaze. Primitive style. Lu Ming didn't waste any time and wasted no time. He immediately attacked with the primitive style. Furthermore, it was an all-out attack. End the battle quickly. A huge continent was formed, and it carried a terrifying power. It came crashing down on the dozens of extreme evil elites. The wild power swept out and covered all of the extreme evil people. Not good. The scary power woke up the extreme evil elites, who had been healing themselves. They roared and unleashed their strongest attacks toward the sky. However, there weren't too many elites. The strongest was Moken, who had broken through twice, which was equivalent to Guangqian Wang of the primordial light race. There were also 3 people who had broken through once, which was equivalent to the strongest Lord of Heaven. The rest were peak divine masters and 9th level divine masters. Some were even 7th or 8th level divine masters. This kind of power wasn't weak, but compared to Lu Ming, there was a huge gap. More importantly, they didn't have time to set up an array. They actually had a combined attack array, but it took time to set it up. Although the time was short, Lu Ming's sudden attack gave them no time to set it up. Boom! The primitive continent came crashing down, and the destructive power exploded. It hit the extreme evil race with unstoppable force. Bang! 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 The people of the extreme evil race couldn't withstand it at all. They exploded like watermelons. Under the destructive power, their bodies and souls were destroyed. Only their storage bags fell to the ground. Even Moken, who was the strongest, suffered the same fate when faced with Lu Ming's all-out attack. He lasted a breath longer than the others before his body exploded and his soul was destroyed. Lu Ming made a grabbing motion in the air and dozens of storage bags were collected by Lu Ming. At the same time, dozens of divine weapons also landed in Lu Ming's hands. Among the dozens of divine weapons, there were 3 source-level divine weapons. The living beings in the Forbidden Lands could be said to be very wealthy. Just a few divine masters had 3 source-level divine weapons. This ratio was shockingly high. One could imagine that every origin realm being in the Forbidden Grounds must have a source-level divine weapon. Then, Lu Ming took out a storage bag and checked it. This storage bag had been left behind by Moken. Immediately, Lu Ming's face lit up with joy. As expected, he found 2 top-grade source-level divine herbs in Moken's storage bag. The 2 top-grade source-level divine herbs were carefully sealed in 2 jade boxes. However, they were all released by Lu Ming and stored in the primitive ring. Only the top-grade source-level divine herbs could grow freely in the primitive ring, and the source-level divine elixir would be at its best. Lu Ming smiled with satisfaction. This trip to the depths of the cosmic ruins was smoother than he had expected. He had received news of Mulin's and 3 top-grade source-level divine herbs as soon as he had arrived. Lu Ming moved and left the place. Soon he met up with Han Yu and the others. Han Yu and the others didn't ask much. After meeting up with Lu Ming, they set off again. It's brother Zhao Wuji. After flying for about an hour, Han Yu suddenly cried out in surprise. A large number of figures had gathered on a fragment of the continent in front of them. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand of them. And they were all humans. There are so many humans, and their auras are very similar to Han Yu and the others. Their bloodlines seem to be of a higher grade. Lu Ming sensed slightly. He found that these humans all had higher bloodline auras than him. None of them were of a lower grade. It could be said that these people were all dragons and phoenixes among humans. This bloodline seems to be somewhat similar to the Sea sects, but it seems to be of a higher grade. Lu Ming's mind turned quickly. He thought of the Sea sect. The Sea sect was originally a member of the Yen clan of the Heavenly Star continent. Later, by chance, he fused with a drop of the Human King's blood, and his bloodline transformed, giving him the Human King's bloodline. He had long since sensed that the Sea sect bloodline was of a much higher level than the Sea sect bloodline. It was almost as if they were kings among men. In the past, Lu Ming only thought that it was because the Sea sect had fused with the Human King's blood, and that the other humans were the same as him. Now it seemed that was not the case. The human race of the last era had a relatively high bloodline grade. And his bloodline was an inferior bloodline in Lu Weiyang's words. Lu Ming thought a lot, but his expression didn't change. He followed Han Yu and the others and flew toward the crowd. Chapter 4992. Han Yu, I'm glad you're all right. It was a tall and burly young man with a square face and sharp eyes, but he smiled when he saw Han Yu. Brother Wuji. Brother Wuji. Han Yu and Lu Weiyang greeted the burly young man. It was obvious that the burly young man was very prestigious. Lu Ming knew that Zhao Wuji was one of the leaders of the human race. Many people stood behind him and looked at Zhao Wuji with reverence. Moreover, Lu Ming could sense a terrifying aura from this person. Although it was hidden, Lu Ming could still feel it. He was definitely a terrifying expert. He should be an invincible divine master. Brother Wuji, we were surrounded by the 9 demonic spiders this time. Fortunately, we met Lu Ming. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Han Yu wouldn't be able to see you again. Han Yu said. Lu Ming? Zhao Wuji was slightly stunned. He glanced at Han Yu and the others and finally fixed his eyes on Lu Ming. This was because among the 8 of them, Han Yu, Lu Weiyang, and Lu Ming was the only unfamiliar face. This bloodline. Once Zhao Wuji looked at Lu Ming, he could tell that something was amiss. He discovered that Lu Ming's bloodline level was very low. The bloodline of the human race was mixed and impure. His bloodline is an inferior bloodline. That's right. It is definitely an inferior bloodline. To think that there are still inferior bloodlines. Even in the previous epoch, there were not many inferior bloodlines. The other humans also looked at Lu Ming and spoke in surprise, discussing fervently. I'm Lu Ming from the east of the universe. Nice to meet you all. Lu Ming cupped his fists without changing his expression. Brother Wuji, although Lu Ming's bloodline isn't pure, he's very powerful. He can kill an overlord who has broken through the first level in a few moves. Don't underestimate him. Han Yu hurriedly explained. After all, Lu Ming was her savior and she was grateful. She didn't want the others to be like Lu Weiyang and look down on Lu Ming because of his low bloodline. He can kill an overlord who has broken through the first level in a few moves? Zhao Wuji and the others were even more surprised. It's no longer the era of the Eldritch continent. There aren't many surviving humans and we're surrounded by strong enemies. We should be united regardless of our bloodline level. Why would I look down on him? Han Yu, you think too much. Zhao Wuji laughed and said, to be able to injure a first-stage breaking extreme expert in just a few moves, he was definitely a top first-stage breaking extreme expert, or even a second-stage breaking extreme expert. How could he underestimate him? That's right. The others also nodded. Of course, there were also a few people like Lu Weiyang who looked at Lu Ming with disdain. Brother Lu Ming, thank you. Then, Zhao Wuji cupped his fists to Lu Ming. As a fellow human, I should help you. You don't have to thank me. Lu Ming cupped his fists in return. Brother Wuji, Let me tell you, Lu Ming is Sister Mulan's junior brother. He came here to find Sister Mulan's. Han Yu continued. This time, Zhao Wuji and the others were even more surprised. Lu Ming was Mulan's junior brother, which was really beyond their expectations. There is a long void zone near the eastern area of the Eldritch universe, which divides the universe into two and is extremely difficult to cross. Mulan's came here by an ancient teleportation array, but I heard from Mulan's that the ancient teleportation array seemed to be damaged and couldn't be connected. Brother Lu Ming, did you cross that void zone? Zhao Wuji asked curiously. Lu Ming knew about the void zone that Zhao Wuji was talking about. There was a void zone between 1/3 of the universe ruins where Lu Ming and the others were and 2/3 of the deep universe ruins. It was very large and extremely difficult to cross. Why did the three tribes of the Forbidden Grounds, the Heavenly Human Tribe, and the Heaven Exterminating Troop, stop exploring after exploring 1/3 of the area? Why did they stop expanding the area? It was because of this void zone. It wasn't that it was impossible to cross, but it was too difficult to do so. Moreover, this void zone was filled with some unknown dangers. Therefore, this void zone not only isolated the Primordial Light Tribe but also the major forces in the Deep Universe ruins. No one could say for sure how this zone of nothingness was formed. Some people guessed that it might have been formed by the Great Battle of the Last Era. No wonder Zhao Wuji was curious. I also came here through that ancient teleportation array. Sister Mulan's is right. That ancient teleportation array was destroyed in the past, but it was repaired later. Lu Ming explained. I see. Zhao Wuji nodded. While they were chatting, many human experts gathered here. The number of human experts gathered here was increasing. Lu Ming observed secretly and found that there were really many experts here. Many of them had strong and unfathomable auras and contained terrifying power in their bodies. Once they unleashed it, it would be absolutely shocking. Although it was hard to judge their real combat power without really fighting, Lu Ming felt that there was definitely no lack of people who had broken through the first or second level. Then, Zhao Wuji introduced another young man to Lu Ming. This young man was called Yan Wudao. Lu Ming could see that this person was also extremely terrifying. He was probably not weaker than Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji and Yan Wudao were the leaders of this group of humans. Almost everyone is here. The divine medicine in the divine range has been plundered by the various forces. Let's return to the Azure Divine Realm. Zhao Wuji's voice spread throughout the area. Naturally, no one had any objections. The divine range had been plundered clean. There was no point in continuing to stay. Just as they were about to leave, they suddenly saw a large number of figures rushing toward them from the void in the distance. There were at least a few thousand of them. The Extreme Evil Tribe. It's the Extreme Evil Tribe. What is the Extreme Evil Tribe doing here? They are coming aggressively. It seems like they have bad intentions. Be careful. The crowd started to discuss. However, the humans were not afraid. Instead, they looked alert and prepared for a big battle. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The figures stopped not far away. They were all experts of the Extreme Evil Tribe. Their auras were evil as they stared at the humans. Emo Sha, what are you doing here? Zhao Wuji shouted as he stared at a young man from the Extreme Evil Tribe. This young man was called Emo Sha. His eyes were extremely evil. What am I doing here? Did you guys kill the demonic kraken? Emo Sha shouted coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Moken? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but his expression did not change. Moken was killed? Han Yu, Lu Weiyang, and the others' expressions changed. Before they came, they had passed by a continent fragment. They had seen Moken and the others on that continent fragment. How long had it been? How could Moken be killed? Moken is dead? Zhao Wuji's eyes flickered. Then he sneered and said, Moken's death has nothing to do with us. Chapter 4993. The evil aura in Emo Sha's eyes grew thicker. Not only her, but the other elites of the Extreme Evil Tribe also looked cold and evil. They glanced at Zhao Wuji, Yan Wudao, and the others. You are the only ones in this area. Who else could it be? Emo Sha continued, also, Moken has 2 top-level source-level elixirs. Did you kill Moken and take his 2 top-level source-level elixirs? I'll say it again. We didn't do anything, Zhao Wuji said resolutely. Hehe, it's not up to you to decide whether or not you've made a move. Hand over your storage pouches. I want to check them one by one to see if the 2 top-grade source-level divine herbs of the demonic kraken are on you. Mo Sha said coldly. Hearing this, Lu Ming's expression didn't change. He knew that Zhao Wuji and the others wouldn't agree to such an unreasonable request. You want to check our storage bags? Ha, what a joke. Do you think you're qualified? Zhao Wuji laughed. His body was even more muscular. His aura was like a mountain. His long hair fluttered in the wind, making him look like a god of war. The blood in his body seemed to be burning. Waves of heavy aura made Lu Ming feel pressured. This pressure didn't come from his combat power. It came from his bloodline. The bloodline of a superior being. Luckily it was Lu Ming. If it were an ordinary human, they would be terrified by Zhao Wuji's aura. They would kneel down involuntarily. It was like an ordinary divine dragon facing a 9-clawed dragon or an ordinary angel facing a 12-winged angel. Zhao Wuji's human bloodline was extremely powerful. It was stronger and purer than Han Yu and Lu Weiyang's. Not only Zhao Wuji, but Yen Wudao was also covered in a layer of dazzling light. His aura wasn't any weaker than Zhao Wuji's. The other human elites also released their powerful auras. They faced the extreme evil tribe from afar. Their auras collided in the void, creating a series of explosions. The human race had a lot of experts. Unlike the Eastern universe, 1/3 of the area that Lu Ming and the others had explored in the future was called the Eastern universe, and 2/3 of the area in the depths of the universe was called the Western universe, which was completely suppressed by the creatures of the Forbidden Lands. The human tribe cultivators here were no weaker than the extreme evil tribe cultivators. Hence, even though the two sides were facing each other, they did not start a war. Who killed Moken? Could it be? In the crowd, Han Yu, Lu Weiyang, and the others thought for a while and then looked at Lu Ming. They all suspected that it was Lu Ming. Previously, Lu Ming had found an excuse to leave for a period of time, saying that he had something to do. Could it be that he had returned to kill Moken and snatched the 2 stalks of top-grade origin-grade divine herbs from Moken? However, Moken was an elite who had broken through twice. He also had the help of other elites. Could Lu Ming have done it with his cultivation? Lu Weiyang even wanted to tell the extreme evil tribe that it was Lu Ming who had done it. He wanted to blame Lu Ming. However, he did not do so in the end. It was not the Eldritch Continent era anymore. The strength of the human tribe was far from what it had been in the previous era. They were too weak. Hence, the human tribe had to be very united. If he betrayed Lu Ming in public, it would be the same as betraying his own race. He would be hated by all his people. In the future, he would not be able to move an inch in the Azure Divine Realm. At that moment, a large number of figures came from another direction. The extreme evil tribe and the human tribe cultivators were shocked. They restrained their auras and became alert. Soon, a large number of figures came to a stop on the other side of the rift. 9 demonic spiders. The figures that appeared later were all 9 demonic spiders. There were many of them, at least a few thousand. These 9 demonic spiders stopped in another direction, facing off against the human tribe and the extreme evil tribe. Haha, it seems that we are not the only ones in this area. There are also 9 demonic spiders. Are you also going to search the 9 demonic spiders' storage bags? Zhao Wuji laughed. The extreme evil tribe cultivators' faces darkened. Mo Sha's evil eyes scanned the 9 demonic spiders. She was up to no good. Zhu Xiang, tell me, did you kill the demon kraken and take away their 2 top-grade origin-grade divine herbs? Mo Sha stared coldly at a youth from the 9 demonic spiders. Bullshit. Zhu Xiang, a youth from the 9 demonic spiders, replied coldly. Zhu Xiang, you're courting death. Mo Sha shouted. You want to kill me? You're not strong enough. Zhu Xiang sneered. He did not seem to be afraid of Mo Sha. This time, it was the 9 demonic spiders and the extreme evil tribes' turn to face off. The 9 demonic spiders were also in this area. Moken might have been killed by the 9 demonic spiders. Lu Ming watched coldly from the side, but she kept analyzing what she saw and heard. From the current situation, she could infer that the situation of the forces in the Western universe was completely different from that in the Eastern universe. In the Eastern universe, the 3 races of the Forbidden Lands and the Heavenly Human Tribe worked together to suppress the Heaven Destroyer. The Heaven Destroyer was in danger. However, the Western universe seemed to be different. The creatures of the Forbidden Lands didn't seem to have any intention of working together against the human tribe. This could be seen from the confrontation between the Extreme Evil Tribe and the 9 demonic spiders. For example, the Extreme Evil Tribe didn't have a good relationship with the 9 demonic spiders. This was similar to the relationship between the Extreme Evil Tribe and the human tribe. They were both ready to fight at any time. They were both enemies and competitors. If the creatures of the other Forbidden Lands were like this, then the situation of the human tribe in the Western universe would be countless times better than the situation of the Heaven Destroyer in the Eastern universe. Actually, on second thought, this was actually normal. In the Eastern universe, the reason why the 3 races of the Forbidden Lands worked together against the Heaven Destroyer was actually because of the Forbidden Body. Whether it was Tang Feng, Fei Huang, Lu Ming, or Gu Changfeng, they all had the Forbidden Body and controlled the power of the universe. The stronger they were, the greater the suppression on the 3 races of the Forbidden Lands. It could be said that the Forbidden Body was the common enemy of the 3 races of the Forbidden Lands. In particular, the Yi Immortal was the one who persuaded the various forces to work together against the Heaven Destroyer. In fact, when the 3 races of the Forbidden Lands first appeared, they were all fighting on their own. They didn't have the slightest intention of working together against the Heaven Destroyer. In the Western universe, if there weren't any forbidden bodies, then the creatures of the Forbidden Lands wouldn't need to work together against the human tribe. The current human tribe wasn't as powerful as it was in the previous era. They didn't need to work together. With Lu Ming's intelligence, he quickly figured this out. Although the Extreme Evil Tribe and the 9 demonic spiders were in a confrontation, they didn't really attack. There were 3 major forces here, so no one dared to make the first move. For example, if the Extreme Evil Tribe attacked the 9 demonic spiders and the human tribe attacked them, then they would be in danger. The reverse was also true. Although the Extreme Evil Tribe suspected that Moken had been killed by the 9 demonic spiders or the human tribe, they didn't have any evidence. They couldn't be completely sure either. No matter how angry they were, there was nothing they could do. Chapter 4994. I'll find out who killed Moken sooner or later. I, Immortal, swear that I won't let go of the person who killed Moken. I'll destroy his cultivation, skin him alive, and pull out his tendons. Immortal said evilly. Immortal's words meant that she was planning to retreat. He knew that they couldn't continue like this. It was impossible to find Moken's murderer. The 9 demonic spiders and the humans couldn't really let them check his storage bag. He only said that to put pressure on them. Take care. I won't see you off. Zhu Xiang said coldly. Zhao Wuji and Yan Wudao also sneered at Immortal. Immortal snorted coldly. She led the Extreme Evil Tribe away. In the blink of an eye, the Extreme Evil Tribe had all left. Zhao Wuji, Yan Wudao, you killed Moken, didn't you? After the Extreme Evil Tribe left, Zhu Xiang looked at Zhao Wuji and Yan Wudao playfully. Zhu Xiang knew that the 9 demonic spiders didn't kill Moken. If they didn't kill him, then it must be the humans. Coincidentally, Zhao Wuji and Yan Wudao were thinking the same thing. Zhu Xiang, you're a thief pretending to be a thief. Zhao Wuji sneered. Hee hee. Zhu Xiang sneered and didn't say anything else. He led the 9 demonic spiders and continued forward. Soon they disappeared. I'm not leaving. After the 9 demonic spiders left, Zhao Wuji yelled and led the humans toward the Chongqing godly realm. Senior Sister Mulin's, I'm coming. Lu Ming was a little agitated. They hadn't seen each other for more than 10,000 years. He wondered how Mulin's would react when she saw him. Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Just as Lu Ming followed Zhao Wuji and the others to the Chongqing godly realm, there was a major change in the Eastern universe. The Yi Immortal brought the three forbidden tribes together again. They planned to go to the depths of the universe ruins, which was the Western universe. Their goal was the human king's heart. The Yi Immortal had made it clear that the human monarch's body had fallen into the hands of the Heaven Destroyer. Once the Heaven Destroyer obtained the human monarch's heart and perfected the human monarch's body, he would be invincible. Activating the human monarch physique was truly invincible. Even if the three clans of the Forbidden Grounds had ancestor-level existences hiding, they might not be a match for the human monarch physique. Therefore, the human king's heart must not fall into the hands of the Heaven Destroyer. Without the human monarch's heart, the human monarch's physical body would not be able to be activated. Once the origin calamity was over, the Heaven Destroyer would no longer be a threat. The three clans of the Forbidden Lands did not dare to be careless when it came to the matter of the human king. They sent out most of their top experts and headed to the Western universe with the Yi Immortal. They naturally didn't know about the ancient teleportation array. They were going to cross the void zone and head to the Western universe. The reason why they wanted to head to the Western universe was because they had already scouted the Eastern universe, but they did not find any clues about the human monarch's heart. Then, there was only one explanation. The human monarch's heart was not in the Eastern universe, but in the Western universe. Although crossing the void zone was difficult and very dangerous, it shouldn't be a big problem as long as there were fewer people and they were more careful. It was just that it would take a longer time. After a few days of hurrying, Lu Ming and the others finally returned to the Ashen Azure Divine Realm. Is this the Ashen Azure Divine Realm? It's very different from the other continent fragments. Why does it feel similar to the world in my Chaos Ring? After arriving at the Ashen Azure Divine Realm, Lu Ming sized it up carefully and was very surprised. The Ashen Azure Divine Realm was actually a continent. However, most of it was hidden in the void. Only a small part was exposed outside the void. However, it was also covered by powerful restrictions. It seemed like the Ashen Azure Divine Realm should be a part of the Chaos Continent. Ordinary people would not be able to tell the difference. However, Lu Ming could tell the difference. The main reason was that the Ashen Azure Divine Realm was somewhat similar to the one in the Chaos Ring. The aura was heavy and ancient, as if it carried an entire universe. This was fundamentally different from ordinary continent fragments. Lu Ming had once felt this feeling in the World of Rings. In the World of Rings, the human king's body had been sealed. The Chaos Ring, the World of Rings, and the Firmament Divine Realm had similarities. Was there any connection? Unfortunately, Lu Ming had too little information. He could not figure it out even if he racked his brains. Lu Ming, Sister Mulin's lives in the Sky Orchid Garden. Shall I take you there now? Han Yu said to Lu Ming. This was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. Lu Ming quickly nodded. Immediately, Han Yu led Lu Ming to the Sky Orchid Garden. As they flew, he introduced some important places in the Ashen Azure Divine Realm to Lu Ming. Humph! Lu Weiyang looked at Lu Ming's back and snorted. Then, he left with a few other young men who were on good terms with him. Soon, Lu Ming and the others arrived at a lakeside. There was a courtyard by the lakeside. This was the Sky Orchid Garden, where Mulin's lived. Miss Han Yu, are you here to see Miss Mulin's? Unfortunately, Miss Mulin's has been in seclusion. I'm afraid she won't be able to see you for the time being. At the door, a girl dressed as a maid smiled. Seclusion? Is it a very important seclusion? Lu Ming asked quickly. Was he going to make a wasted trip? Yes, Miss Mulin's has had a major breakthrough. I'm afraid she will be able to break through twice. The maid said. Break through twice. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This meant that Mulin's cultivation had also reached the peak of the Almighty Realm. Only at the peak of the Almighty Realm could one break through to the next level. There was no such thing as breaking through to the peak of the Almighty Realm. Lu Ming really didn't expect Mulin's to have such achievements after not seeing her for more than 10,000 years. Break through twice. Even among the creatures of the Forbidden Lands, she would be considered a peerless genius. Among the thousands of races in the universe, she would be an invincible existence. With Mulin's talent in the past, it was impossible for her to do so. In fact, with Lu Ming's rise, The gap between Mulin's and Lu Ming grew bigger and bigger. Not to mention the creatures of the Forbidden Lands, even among the thousands of races in the universe, Mulin's talent was actually very average. It could even be said to be poor. But now, Mulin's was about to break through twice. This talent was not inferior to Xian Yanqing's at all. One had to know that Xian Yanqing's current battle prowess was only at the second break. Xian Yanqing was a reincarnated person. In his previous life, he was at the Origin Realm and had obtained a series of opportunities to achieve such achievements. To be honest, Lu Ming was really surprised that Mulin's was about to arrive. There was only one explanation, and that was that Mulin's had obtained a heaven-defying opportunity in the past few years. Lu Ming thought of the stone house on the ancient teleportation path. The opportunity left behind by the mysterious existence who had built the ancient teleportation path and the creation jade pool. Lu Ming still remembered that it was Mulin's who had made the Chongqing Divine Realm come out in advance. Originally, the Chongqing Divine Realm was sealed in the depths of the universe and couldn't be broken from inside or outside. However, Mulin's had used a gem to open the seal of the Chongqing Divine Realm. That gem was definitely a peerless treasure. Chapter 4995. Then we'll come again in the future. Don't disturb senior sister Mulin's seclusion. Lu Ming said. Seclusion to break through the second level was definitely a very important seclusion. If it was disturbed and affected the breakthrough, the loss would be great. Anyway, more than 10,000 years had passed, so waiting a little longer didn't matter. Once Miss Mulin's comes out of seclusion, I'll report it immediately. The maid said. Thank you very much. Lu Ming cupped his fists and then left with Hanyu. Then, Hanyu arranged a place for Lu Ming to live. This place was not too far from where Hanyu lived. Then, Hanyu gave Lu Ming a map of the Chongqing Divine Realm and left. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. When Lu Ming was free, he would wander around the Chongqing Divine Realm. The Chongqing Divine Realm was very large, and there were at least 10 billion humans living here. 10 billion people seemed to be a lot, but in fact, when scattered in the vast Chongqing Divine Realm, it was actually very small. It was said that in the last era, when the Chongqing Divine Realm was just sealed, the population was only 100,000. However, after a long time of reproduction, the population reached 10 billion. This was because the higher the cultivation, the harder it was to reproduce. Otherwise, the population would be much larger. However, there were many experts in the Chongqing Divine Realm. After a few days of observation, Lu Ming found that the ratio of experts far exceeded that of the heavenly human race. In other words, the talent of the human race far exceeded that of the heavenly human race. In the past, Lu Ming thought that the human race's talent was very ordinary. Compared to the other races in the universe, especially the top 10 races, there was a huge gap. Now it seemed that he was wrong. Because the human race in the universe had impure bloodlines. The pure-blooded humans in the Eldritch continent were very talented. Not to mention the heavenly human race, they were even stronger than the creatures in the Forbidden Lands. No wonder the human race could become the strongest race in the Eldritch continent in the last era. And in the past few days, Lu Ming didn't find anyone with the same bloodline as him, which was the inferior bloodline that Lu Weiyang said. The human race here had a very high bloodline level. It could be said that they were all above others. Many people saw Lu Ming's bloodline and were very surprised. They looked at Lu Ming as if he was a rare animal. Some of them were still all right. They were calm and would greet Lu Ming with a smile when they saw him. However, some of them, like Lu Weiyang, showed a look of disdain. When they faced Lu Ming, they showed a look of superiority. This made Lu Ming very unhappy. He had never felt that his bloodline was inferior to others, but here, he had become an inferior bloodline. Anyone would feel uncomfortable. Of course, the proportion of such people was not high, and the number of people was relatively small. Hence, he decided not to go out, and instead stayed in his residence in seclusion, comprehending Genesis techniques while waiting for Mulin's to emerge. 2 days later, Hanyu came. Brother Lu, are you all right? Hanyu said awkwardly when he saw Lu Ming. Upon hearing this, Lu Ming knew that Hanyu was here because he had been despised. It's just a small matter. I didn't take it to heart. Lu Ming said with a smile. Indeed, Lu Ming was a little unhappy at first, but with his temperament, he quickly adjusted. What did the difference in bloodline represent? His bloodline level was inferior to others in the Tsongqing divine domain, but how many people in the Tsongqing divine domain could compare with him? How many people of the same level could have his battle strength? Let alone a few people, could one person have it? Why should he care about bloodline level? Han Yu breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Lu Ming didn't seem to mind. She had come to see Lu Ming because she had heard the gossip outside. She was afraid that Lu Ming would be unhappy because of the shock. Lu Ming was her savior after all. Some people are really too much. What era is it now? It's no longer the era of the primitive continent. The human race is no longer the strong race that dominated the world. Some people still hold on to the concept of bloodline level. It's really abominable. Han Yu said resentfully. Miss Han Yu, in the last era, did the human race really have a division of bloodline level? Lu Ming asked. He was also quite curious about this. In the last era, there was indeed such a division. Those with low bloodline level, which is what Lu Weiyang said, had a very low status. Han Yu said, how did the human race's bloodline level come about? Lu Ming asked again. It should be survival of the fittest. Speaking of which, it has something to do with the history of the human race's development. Han Yu said, the history of the human race's development? Please enlighten me, Miss Han Yu. Lu Ming's eyes lit up slightly. Lu Ming was very interested in the history of the human race's development. If he knew the history of the human race's development, he would definitely know more about the primitive continent. Before he came to the Western universe, he had asked Firmament for advice, but Firmament only had a rough understanding of the primitive continent. As for the Azure Divine Realm, it was passed down by the human race in the last era, so it would most likely know more about the primitive continent, especially about the human race. I also read about it in ancient books. According to the legends, in the early days of the primitive continent, the human race was actually very weak. They were not even ranked among the thousands of races. Compared to the thousands of races, they could only live a humble life and even become slaves. Later, a terrible war broke out in the primitive continent. Thousands of races killed each other and swept across the entire primitive continent. Countless races were annihilated in that war. The weak human race took the opportunity to develop and finally had a little strength to protect themselves. After the War of the 10,000 Tribes, the Demon Tribe and the Sorcerer Tribe became the biggest winners. They dominated the untainted land and no other tribe could compete with them. The other surviving tribes all attached themselves to them, including the human tribe. At that time, although the human race was much stronger, it was also very difficult for them to survive. Many of their clansmen were also enslaved by the demon race and the Wu people. As the saying goes, a mountain cannot accommodate two tigers. The demon tribe and the sorcerer tribe dominated the untainted land. Both of them wanted to be the real dominator, so the two tribes naturally competed with each other. Later, the Great War of the Sorcerer and the Demon Tribe broke out, which was no less than the Great War of the Tribes. Both the Sorcerer and the Demon Tribe suffered heavy losses in this war, while the Human Tribe took the opportunity to develop. Later on, the Human Tribe rose to prominence and even suppressed the Sorcerer and the Demon Tribe to become the strongest tribe. Han Yu introduced. Lu Ming was fascinated as he listened. Although Han Yu had only said a few words, Lu Ming could imagine that it would be a magnificent epic, a period of the human race's difficult development history. In that period of history, the human race was very weak at the beginning. If they wanted to survive, they had to constantly become stronger. Therefore, in the process of development, those with better talent and stronger physiques had higher potential and improved faster. Those with weaker physiques and less talent were often eliminated. After a long period of development, those with strong constitutions would be able to give birth to people with stronger constitutions and bloodlines through marriage. Over time, the strong would become stronger and stronger. Gradually, the difference in bloodlines would appear. Han Yu continued to explain. Chapter 4996. Through Han Yu's explanation, Lu Ming understood that the bloodline grades of the human clan had evolved over a long period of time. The weak were prey to the strong and the weak were eliminated. Powerful bloodlines would continue to develop, and in the end, one would naturally become a superior bloodline. On the other hand, those with inferior bloodlines would become inferior bloodlines, and could only become inferior. Even those with inferior bloodlines would find it difficult to survive. During the era of the primitive continent, although most of the human clan's bloodline grades were very high, there were still many with inferior bloodlines. At that time, they were called inferior bloodlines and had a very low status. That's why Lu Weiyang and the others were like this, Han Yu said. She explained in detail mainly because she wanted to say that it was only the last era and that things were different now. Then, Han Yu explained that when the Ashen Azure Divine Realm was sealed, the human clan that remained in the Ashen Azure Divine Realm were all people with superior bloodlines. Therefore, even if they continued to reproduce, their descendants would also have superior bloodlines. There was no one with a bloodline like Lu Ming's in the Firmament Divine Realm today. Through the conversation with Han Yu, Lu Ming learned more about the last era. By the way, Miss Han Yu, do you know the Heavenly Human Clan? Lu Ming suddenly changed the topic and asked. He heard from the demons that the Heavenly Human Clan and the demons were slaves of the Human Clan in the last era. He wanted to know more. Heavenly Human Clan? I've never heard of it. What kind of clan is it? How dare they use "Thun" as their name? How dare they? Han Yu said. How dare they? What do you mean? Lu Ming asked curiously. I don't know the details. I only know that Tian was a taboo in the last era and no clan dared to use it. Otherwise, it would bring disaster. Han Yu said. Tian is a taboo? Lu Ming was even more curious and confused. The original name of the Heavenly Human Clan seems to be the Demi-Human Clan. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of the Demon Clan? They were all slaves of the Human Clan in the last era. Lu Ming said. He had heard the name of the Demi-Human Clan from Zixin. Demi-Human Clan? Devil? I've never heard of it. As far as I know, the Human Clan enslaved countless races, including many races outside the Void Universe. I guess these two are just one of them. Han Yu said. It seemed like the human race of the last great era was truly incomparably powerful. Even races like the Celestial race and Fiend race were enslaved by them. However, even though they were so strong, they still ended up falling apart. What happened at the end of the previous epoch? Was it related to the creatures in the Forbidden Grounds? The destruction of the Purple Heaven Cave must have had something to do with the living beings in the Forbidden Land. It was the Jianghu tribe that had destroyed the Purple Heaven Cave. In the previous era, the extreme Yin tribe was a terrifying forbidden land. However, did the creatures of the Forbidden Lands really have the strength to destroy the primitive universe? Lu Ming expressed his doubts. Is it a powerful force outside the primitive universe? Since they already knew that there were other races outside the universe, it was completely normal for there to be other powerful and terrifying forces. I can't figure it out. Lu Ming shook his head slightly to get rid of his messy thoughts. Seeing Lu Ming's expression, Han Yu thought that Lu Ming was troubled by the level of his bloodline. He said, actually, if Brother Lu wants to change his bloodline level, it's not impossible. Can I change my bloodline level? What is it? Lu Ming asked curiously. He didn't really want to change his bloodline level. He felt that there was nothing wrong with his current bloodline. It still had endless potential. This was because he no longer had a pure human bloodline. He had a forbidden body. How powerful was the potential of a forbidden body? He didn't know. However, the forbidden sword ancestor, Tang Feng, was also a human. He also came from a small world. His bloodline level must be the same as his. However, how powerful was the sword ancestor now? Therefore, the potential of a forbidden body should not be inferior to a high-level human bloodline. However, Lu Ming was still very curious. That was why he asked. The Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll. Han Yu said with a look of reverence. The Ashen Azure Divine Realm has a scroll of the Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll. As long as one is under the Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll, one's bloodline can be purified, increase one's potential, and enhance one's talent. Even an inferior bloodline may be able to transform. The Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll? Lu Ming was curious and puzzled. It was another word that he had never heard of. The scroll left behind by the human monarch, the sacred luminance. Han Yu added. What? Lu Ming's heart was beating wildly. The scroll left behind by the human monarch? The human monarch's name was Sacred Luminance? He had obtained the body of the human monarch before. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming said impatiently. Brother Lu, please follow me. Han Yu led the way to the central area of the Ashen Azure Divine Realm. The Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll was placed in an important position in the center of the Ashen Azure Divine Realm. It was protected by layers of formations. These formations were mainly used to guard against outsiders. They were unguarded against humans in the Ashen Azure Divine Realm. Any human could come out at will and use the Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll to cultivate. The Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll was suspended in a huge lake. It was extremely huge, 10,000 meters long and 1,000 meters wide. It was a scroll painting. The painting was of a middle-aged human man. He seemed to be standing there quietly with his hands behind his back. He looked elegant and there was a trace of compassion on his face. He did not have an aura that could dominate the world, nor did he have a soul-stirring aura. Instead, he exuded an aura that could enlighten all living beings. That's right. It was an aura that could enlighten all living beings. Lu Ming and Han Yu stood by the lake. Just by looking at it from afar, they felt a sense of admiration. The painting on the scroll is the human monarch Sacred Luminance himself. Han Yu explained. However, she did not notice that Lu Ming was stunned at this moment. He stared at the Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll in disbelief. This is the human monarch himself. What's going on? I saw the human monarch's appearance through the human monarch's body. It doesn't look like this. Lu Ming kept shouting in his heart. When he obtained the human monarch's arm in the stellar sky continent, the arm had once manifested the figure of the human monarch. It was completely different from the one in this painting, whether it was the appearance or the temperament. The figure manifested from the human monarch's body had an aura that could swallow the universe. It was completely different from the temperament of the human monarch that could enlighten all living beings in this painting. What was going on? Was there more than one human monarch? If he did not understand, he should ask. Lu Ming asked calmly, Miss Han Yu, is there more than one human monarch? Of course. Han Yu said, in the last era, there were a total of 3 human monarchs. Otherwise, the human race would not have been so powerful and suppressed the shaman and demon races. There were 3? Which 3? Lu Ming asked. They were the human monarch Sacred Luminance, the human monarch Shen Yuan, and the third was a woman known as the Queen of Eternity. Han Yu said, Human monarch Sacred Luminance, human monarch Shen Yuan, and the Queen of Eternity. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. His heart was in turmoil. Chapter 4997. There were 3 human kings in total, and one of them was a woman, the ancient queen. The identity of the sovereign personage's corporeal body was obvious. Human King Shen Yuan. Obviously, the body was left behind by human King Shen Yuan. Human King Sheng Shi was the first human king of the human race. He was born in the era of the Great War between the shamans and the demons. Human King Sheng Shi rose against the heavens, and took advantage of the fact that the shamans and demons were greatly weakened to lead the human race to rise again, and became the 3rd strongest race after the shamans and demons. It was under the protection of human King Sheng Shi that the human clan could develop peacefully. Their overall strength continued to grow, and they laid a solid foundation for dominating the world. When the Great War of the Witch and Demon clan ended, the human clan had become a powerful force that was not weaker than the Witch and Demon clan. Later, human King Sheng Shi used his own essence and blood as the foundation to draw 9 sacred luminance scrolls. The sacred luminance scrolls contain the essence and will of human King Sheng Shi, which is very useful for the human clan. As long as the human clan is close to the sacred luminance scrolls, they can use the essence and will of human King Sheng Shi to train their spirit and will. They can also refine their bloodline and improve their talent and potential. Legend has it that human King Shen Yuan and the ancient queen both cultivated under the sacred luminance scrolls and obtained great benefits. They laid a solid foundation for their future path of invincibility. It can be said that the human clan was able to dominate the untainted land because of the sacred luminance scrolls. Han Yu explained in detail. They are really enlightening. They are the kings of the human clan. Lu Ming sighed. He was full of admiration. You're right. The 3 human kings have made unparalleled contributions to the human race. Without the 3 human kings, the human race wouldn't be prosperous. Unfortunately, after the war, the other sacred luminance scrolls disappeared. Fortunately, the Azure Divine Realm kept one. It is really a blessing in disguise. Han Yu said. Lu Ming did not ask any more questions. He just observed. The sacred luminance scroll floated above the center of the lake, scattering faint light. On the lake, there were many figures sitting cross-legged on the surface of the lake. At a glance, there were no less than 10,000 people. The distance between these people and the sacred luminance holy scroll varied from one to the other. Some people were closer to the sacred luminance, while some were further away from it. The closer one is to the sacred luminance saint scroll, the greater the effect will be. However, the sacred luminance saint scroll is drawn with the blood essence of a human king. Not only does it contain the heavenly might of a human king, it also contains the spiritual suppression of a human king. Therefore, it's extremely difficult to get close to the sacred luminance saint scroll. Only those with a strong will and powerful bloodline can get close to the sacred luminance saint scroll. Fearing that Lu Ming might not understand, Han Yu explained. Lu Ming understood that the higher one's bloodline was, the more talented they were, the closer they would be to the sacred luminance holy scroll. Lu Ming found that there were only a few people who were closest to the sacred luminance. These people were all about 100 miles away from the sacred luminance. The others were even further away. However, these people were all covered in a layer of blood-red light. The blood-red light fluctuated and emitted a powerful aura. Every one of them had a very powerful human bloodline, which was far above Lu Ming's. Lu Ming, you also came to the sacred luminance saint scroll. Do you want to use the sacred luminance saint scroll to improve your bloodline? At this moment, an unpleasant voice sounded. Lu Ming immediately knew that it was Lu Weiyang. Lu Weiyang came with a few other young people and stood not far away from Lu Ming. Everyone, this is Lu Ming. He's the one with the inferior bloodline that I mentioned. You haven't seen him before, right? It's a good opportunity for you to broaden your horizons. Lu Weiyang said to the other young people with a mocking look. Lu Ming frowned slightly. If he hadn't just arrived and if this wasn't the Azure Divine Realm, he would have suppressed Lu Weiyang with a slap. Lu Weiyang saw that Lu Ming didn't say anything and thought that Lu Ming was afraid. After all, this was the firmament divine realm. Even a powerful dragon couldn't defeat a snake in its own territory. Thinking of this, Lu Weiyang became even more proud. Inferior bloodline should accept your fate. It's ridiculous that you want to improve your bloodline and change your fate with the sacred luminance saint scroll. Who do you think you are? Human King Xinyuan? Lu Weiyang mocked even more unscrupulously. Legend had it that human King Xinyuan originally had an inferior bloodline. Finally, under the sacred luminance saint scroll, he changed his fate and became invincible. However, over the years, how many people with inferior bloodline could achieve this? There were only a few people, and only one of them could achieve what human King Xinyuan did. Lu Weiyang, can you stop talking? Han Yu couldn't stand it anymore. She shouted and continued, even if you can't achieve what human King Xinyuan did, you can still purify your bloodline and improve your talent. It's also very helpful for your future cultivation. Oh, then I'd like to see how far he can go. If he can walk 1,000 meters, Lu Weiyang sneered. You'll what? Lu Ming looked at Lu Weiyang with a faint smile. 10,000 meters. If you can walk 10,000 meters, I'll admit your identity as a human. Lu Weiyang said. Why do I need you to admit my identity? That's ridiculous. How about this? If I can walk 10,000 meters, you can swallow that pile of mud. Lu Ming pointed to a pile of mud by the lake. That pile of mud was the size of a water tank. Lu Weiyang's eyelids twitched. Thinking of Lu Ming's strength, he couldn't help but feel a little guilty. But when he thought of Lu Ming's inferior bloodline, his courage was boosted. It was extremely difficult for an inferior bloodline to walk 1,000 meters, let alone 10,000 meters. Since the birth of the sacred luminance Saint Scroll, countless inferior bloodline people had tried to change their fate through the sacred luminance Saint Scroll. But there were very few who could walk 100 meters on their first try, let alone 10,000 meters. The number of inferior bloodline people who could walk 10,000 meters on their first try could be counted on one hand. Each of these people later became a top expert of the human race, and the strongest among them was human King Shenyuan. He didn't believe that Lu Ming could compare with these people. What? You don't have the guts to bet? Then shut up when you see me in the future. Lu Ming snorted coldly. A murderous aura emanated from him. Lu Weiyang shuddered and shivered in fear. Lu Ming had experienced many storms and killed many strong enemies along the way. His murderous aura was astonishingly strong. How could Lu Weiyang compare to him? When Lu Weiyang came to his senses, he felt humiliated and immediately became furious. Okay, let's bet. If you lose, you have to kneel in front of me and become my slave from then on. It's a deal, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, don't be impulsive. On the side, Han Yu hurriedly persuaded Lu Ming. Her big eyes were full of worry. She also didn't think that Lu Ming could walk 10,000 meters on his first try. That was too difficult. Chapter 4998. After all, Lu Ming was Han Yu's savior. Han Yu was really worried about him. Once Lu Ming lost and became Lu Weiyang's servant, he would really be finished. He would be doomed eternally. Lu Weiyang, I want you to cancel this bet. Han Yu said to Lu Weiyang after speaking to Lu Ming. The bet has already been set. How can I cancel it so easily? Lu Weiyang refused directly. At this moment he was ecstatic. How could he cancel it? Once Lu Ming lost, he would become his servant. Not only would he be able to vent his anger, but he would also be able to take the top-grade source-level divine medicine that Lu Ming obtained from Zhu Shi. Moreover, Lu Ming's combat strength was very strong. If he could become his servant, he would be able to let Lu Ming take the lead when he went out for adventures in the future. How cool would that be? In short, there were many benefits. How could he cancel it? Absolutely not. Lu Weiyang, don't go too far. If you don't cancel it, I will tell everyone what you did before and let everyone know. Han Yu said fiercely. Han Yu, Lu Weiyang's face darkened. He naturally knew what Han Yu was going to say. Of course, it was about how he gave the divine medicine to Zhu Shi and betrayed Han Yu and the others to save his life. Once this matter was exposed, Lu Weiyang's reputation would be tarnished. Therefore, he hesitated for a moment. Han Yu, it's okay. Since he wants to gamble, let's gamble. Lu Ming said. But Lu Ming, Han Yu was very worried. Han Yu, since Lu Ming wants to gamble, don't meddle in other people's business. Lu Weiyang hurriedly seized the opportunity. He was ecstatic. Lu Ming insisted on gambling. He was really reckless. An inferior bloodline was indeed inferior. He didn't know the mystery of the sacred luminance's holy scroll at all. He thought that he was invincible just because he had some strength. Was his confidence inflated? Today, he would let him know what a vicious beating was. All right, it's settled then. Lu Ming waved his hand. Although Han Yu was anxious, she didn't say anything when she saw how determined Lu Ming was. Lu Ming had his reasons for being so confident. Although his human bloodline was indeed very low, and he wasn't sure how far he could go with just the power of his bloodline. His confidence came from the taboo power. He now knew that the taboo power was the power of the universe. What was the power of the universe? It was related to the entire universe and was the core power of the universe. No matter how strong the human bloodline was, it was still born from the universe. How could it compare to the power of the universe? He didn't believe that he couldn't even walk 10,000 meters with his taboo body. The people at the front were at least 1,000,000 meters away. Even if it was his first time walking less than 1,000,000 meters, he was still very confident that he could walk 10,000 meters. Then let's begin, Lu Weiyang said. He could not wait any longer. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He stepped out and landed on the surface of the lake. The lakeside and the lake seemed to be two completely different worlds. When Lu Ming stepped on the lake, a powerful force pressed down on Lu Ming. At the same time, the sacred luminance holy scroll in the middle of the lake also changed dramatically in Lu Ming's eyes. Originally, the sacred luminance holy scroll looked like a painting, but at this moment, the painting disappeared and was replaced by a figure. The figure of human King Xingxi. He saw human King Xingxi with his hands behind his back, standing in the void. His figure was majestic and indomitable, exuding a vast aura. That kind of aura was so vast that it made people have the urge to kneel down. In particular, there was a special force acting on his body, seeping into his body and making his blood boil. Is this the power of a human king? Maybe this power can really transform my bloodline? Lu Ming sensed carefully. However, he didn't plan to purify his bloodline for the time being. He would walk forward first. Swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming stepped on the surface of the lake and moved forward quickly. Very soon he had walked 100 meters forward. As he moved forward, the power emitted by human King Xingxi became stronger and stronger. That kind of pressure was not only on the body, but also on the will. However, Lu Ming's willpower was so strong that this test was nothing to him. Seeing Lu Ming walk 100 meters, Lu Weiyang's expression didn't change. Because this was what he expected. With Lu Ming's strength, even if his bloodline level was low, his willpower wouldn't be weak. He would be surprised if he couldn't walk 100 meters. However, the difference between 100 meters and 10,000 meters was like heaven and earth. Later on, it wasn't just willpower that could be relied on. The power of the bloodline was crucial. Lu Ming didn't stop and continued to move forward. 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters, 600 meters. Soon, Lu Ming walked 1,000 meters forward. Han Yu looked surprised, but Lu Weiyang's face darkened. Lu Ming could walk 1,000 meters, which was somewhat beyond his expectations. At first, he wanted to bet 1,000 meters with Lu Ming. Fortunately, it was changed to 10,000 meters later. However, he's almost at the end. Look at him, his body is already trembling and his blood is boiling. His bloodline has reached its limit and he can't hold on any longer. Lu Weiyang sneered. His heart, which had been in his throat, was now completely at ease. Han Yu's face turned even uglier. She had already begun to think about how to prevent Lu Ming from becoming Lu Weiyang's slave after he lost. Lu Ming saved her life and she had to repay him. She definitely couldn't let her savior become Lu Weiyang's slave. At this time, Lu Ming's body was indeed trembling. He was indeed reaching his limit. It wasn't that his willpower couldn't hold on, but his body, or to be precise, his bloodline. At this point, Lu Ming did not use any taboo power. He merely relied on his body to walk. He wanted to see how far he could go with the power of his human bloodline alone. Sure enough, he was far from being comparable to other humans. Hold on a little longer. Let's see how far I can go in the end. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued to move forward, but his speed was getting slower and slower. Anyone who wasn't a fool could see that Lu Ming was about to reach his limit. It's not bad to get a slave. Lu Weiyang laughed as if he was sure to win. Lu Weiyang, can you let Lu Ming go and not make him a slave? Han Yu gritted her teeth and looked at Lu Weiyang with a pleading look. Han Yu, are you begging me? Unfortunately, I won't agree. Lu Weiyang refused proudly. Lu Weiyang, don't go too far. If you go too far, I'll tell everyone what you did before. Han Yu said, Humph, Han Yu, you're threatening me with this matter again. But compared to Lu Ming becoming a slave, I'll still benefit even if you tell them. Before I made the bet with Lu Ming, I was already mentally prepared, Lu Weiyang said coldly. If Han Yu told everyone that he had handed over the divine herb and escaped alone, his reputation would be tarnished at most. But if he could get an expert like Lu Ming as a slave, he would still benefit. Chapter 4999. With Lu Ming as his servant, he could send Lu Ming to some dangerous places to obtain more resources for him and increase his combat strength. As long as his strength increased, it didn't matter if his reputation was tarnished. Who would dare to criticize him in front of his face? In this world, strength determined everything. As long as one had strength, there would naturally be people trying to curry favor with him. A little reputation was nothing. Therefore, even if Han Yu threatened him with his cowardice, Lu Weiyang would not back down. He was determined to get hold of Lu Ming. Han Yu's face darkened. She didn't expect Lu Weiyang to not care about his reputation. Apart from threatening Lu Weiyang with this matter, there was no other way to make Lu Weiyang change his mind. Han Yu, if you want me to change my mind, I can let Lu Ming go. But if you agree to marry me as my concubine, I will agree. All of a sudden, Lu Weiyang changed the topic of conversation. His fiery eyes were fixed on Han Yu, sizing him up. He had been coveting Han Yu for a long time. If he could use Lu Ming's matter to get Han Yu, it would be a good thing. You don't even think about it? Han Yu glared at Lu Weiyang. She didn't expect Lu Weiyang to be so despicable as to take advantage of her misfortune. Lu Weiyang already had a wife. How could he want to marry her as his concubine? It was simply wishful thinking. She would never agree. If you don't agree, then forget it. Just watch Lu Ming become my servant. Lu Weiyang sneered. Han Yu bit her lips. She was full of worry, but there was nothing she could do. At this time, Lu Ming had moved a little further. He had already reached 1,500 meters. But after reaching this point, Lu Ming's body trembled even more violently. His body was constantly emitting red blood qi, which meant that he was about to reach his limit. Lu Ming, why are you so impulsive to bet with Lu Weiyang? I can't help you now, Han Yu sighed. She had tried her best, but there was nothing she could do. Congratulations, Brother Lu. You have gained a powerful servant. Brother Lu, today is a joyous occasion. You must treat us. The several young men who came with Lu Weiyang had already congratulated him in advance. Today at the drunken Immortal Inn, it's my treat. We won't leave until we're drunk. Lu Weiyang laughed as if he had already won. Lu Weiyang wasn't the only one who thought that Lu Weiyang was going to win. Lu Ming had already reached his limit, but he had only walked 1,500 meters. The distance of 10,000 meters was just too far. Even if there was a miracle, it was impossible to reach 10,000 meters. Look that Lu Ming has stopped. It looks like he's about to admit defeat. A young man pointed at Lu Ming and said. Lu Weiyang was even more pleased with himself. Han Yu sighed deeply. It seemed that there would be no miracles. At this moment, everyone's eyes suddenly widened. This was because Lu Ming, who had been standing there motionlessly, suddenly moved and dashed forward. Yes, he was running, not walking slowly. He was even faster than before. Lu Ming stepped on the surface of the lake and moved forward rapidly like an arrow. In just a few breaths, Lu Ming had already crossed thousands of meters. Moreover, he didn't have the slightest intention to stop, nor did he have the slightest intention to slow down. He was still moving forward rapidly. 5,000 meters, 6,000 meters, 7,000 meters. In the blink of an eye, he was already 10,000 meters away. Han Yu was stunned. Lu Weiyang was stunned. The other young men were also stunned. Seeing that Lu Ming was about to cross 10,000 meters, Lu Weiyang suddenly screamed, "How is this possible? How is this possible? This is impossible." Just as he was screaming, Lu Ming successfully crossed the distance of 10,000 meters, but he didn't have the slightest intention to stop. He was still moving forward rapidly. Lu Weiyang's face was flushed. His mouth was open and his throat seemed to be stuck by a dead mouse. It was ugly and disgusting. Didn't Lu Ming stop? When he was about 1,500 meters away, Lu Ming had clearly reached his limit. They couldn't be wrong. At that time, Lu Ming had definitely reached his limit. But why did Lu Ming suddenly rush forward like a madman? What was going on? They couldn't figure it out. They were right. When he was 1,500 meters away, Lu Ming had indeed reached his limit with the help of the human race's bloodline power. But Lu Ming still had the forbidden power. As soon as Lu Ming ran the forbidden power, he suddenly found that the pressure of the sacred luminance scroll on his body disappeared without a trace. He didn't feel the slightest pressure. That was why his speed could soar and he rushed forward quickly. And this was because he suppressed his speed. Otherwise, he would be faster. The forbidden power is really mysterious. The sacred luminance scroll doesn't put pressure on my body and bloodline, but it still puts pressure on my willpower. Lu Ming's mind raced. The pressure of the sacred luminance scroll on his body was isolated by the forbidden power, but it didn't isolate his willpower. However, Lu Ming's willpower was so strong that at first, tens of thousands of meters or even hundreds of thousands of meters didn't affect him much. But in this way, the purification effect of the sacred luminance scroll on Lu Ming's bloodline also disappeared. His bloodline couldn't be purified. But it was Lu Ming's first time here. His current goal was to see how far he could go under the influence of the forbidden power and where his limit was. He would purify his bloodline later. After Lu Ming broke through 10,000 meters, he didn't slow down at all. He was still very fast. 10,000 meters, 20,000 meters, 50,000 meters, 100,000 meters. After a while, Lu Ming walked a distance of 500,000 meters. The distance between him and the sacred luminance scroll was getting closer and closer. This speed alarmed some of the people who were cultivating nearby. Many people opened their eyes and looked at Lu Ming, who was moving forward at high speed, in shock. There were many people in the Azure Divine Realm who could walk a distance of 500,000 meters. However, there were very few people who could maintain such a speed after 50 meters. At the lakeside, Han Yu, Lu Weiyang and the others were completely petrified. Especially Lu Weiyang, his face was very ugly. The suppression of willpower here is getting stronger and stronger. When he walked out 600,000 meters, Lu Ming's speed finally began to slow down. His body didn't feel any pressure, but the pressure on his willpower was getting stronger and stronger. How powerful was the Sacred Luminance Human King? The Sacred Luminance Scroll he created contained the will of the Sacred Luminance and his Tao. It was like a brilliant heavenly power, supreme and supreme. People couldn't help but want to kneel down and be convinced. They couldn't raise the slightest thought of resistance. Once that happened, it meant that he had reached his limit. However, although Lu Ming felt that the pressure was getting stronger and stronger, it hadn't reached his limit yet. It just slowed down Lu Ming's speed a little. Lu Ming was still moving forward. 700,000 meters, 800,000 meters, 900,000 meters. In the end, under everyone's shocked eyes, he rushed over 1,000,000 meters. Chapter 5000. Lu Ming rushed over 1,000,000 meters. This was the limit, because this place was already very close to the Sacred Luminance Holy Scroll. Only a few people were able to reach this place. However, Lu Ming had not reached his limit yet. Lu Ming only needed to bear the mental pressure, which was incomparable to others. However, Lu Ming himself did not want to go forward. If he went forward, he would attract too much attention. In fact, he was already very eye-catching here, but at least there were others who came here. Lu Ming did not stop. He turned around and headed back. He walked back at a faster speed. Soon he was back at the lakeside. Well, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Lu Weiyang finally came to his senses and wanted to find a chance to slip away. But how could Lu Ming let him go easily? Lu Ming took a step forward and stood in front of Lu Weiyang. Lu Ming, what do you want to do? Lu Weiyang said in a flattering tone. What do I want to do? You know the answer. Lu Ming sneered and pointed to a pool of mud on the lakeside, saying, fulfill the bet and swallow that pool of mud. Lu Weiyang's face turned pale and he shouted, Lu Ming, don't push your luck. That bet was just a casual remark. It was just a casual remark. There are witnesses here. Miss Han Yu, don't you think so? Lu Ming looked at Han Yu and said. Lu Weiyang obviously wanted to go back on his word, but how could Lu Ming let Lu Weiyang go so easily? Well, you did have this bet, but... Han Yu stammered. Lu Ming could see that Han Yu seemed to be a little afraid of Lu Weiyang. So Lu Ming directly said, that's enough. Lu Weiyang, hurry up. As he spoke, Lu Ming's powerful aura pressed down on Lu Weiyang, making Lu Weiyang involuntarily take a few steps back. At this time, many human experts who were cultivating here gathered around curiously and looked at Lu Ming and Lu Weiyang as if they were watching a show. Lu Weiyang, since you've made the bet, then swallow it. That's right. A real man must admit defeat. Those who were watching the show started to make a fuss. Lu Weiyang's face became even uglier and almost twisted. He shouted, Lu Ming, do you really think you've won? You're cheating. Yes, you're cheating. You're just an inferior bloodline. How can you reach a distance of 1,000,000 meters? The more he said, the brighter Lu Weiyang's eyes became. The more he said, the more he felt that Lu Ming was cheating. You clearly reached your limit at 1,500 meters, but then you suddenly broke out. I don't believe that you're not cheating. So, I won this bet. Lu Ming, you're going to be my slave. Lu Weiyang continued to shout. Lu Ming was almost amused. Lu Weiyang was really despicable. He wanted to confuse right and wrong. Are you going to eat or not? If you don't, then I'll have to invite you to eat. Lu Ming sneered and then grabbed at Lu Weiyang. Lu Ming, how dare you? Lu Weiyang shouted hysterically. Of course, he would not surrender. He resisted with all his strength and frantically retreated. Stop! How dare you? The few young men who came with Lu Weiyang also shouted and helped Lu Weiyang. They attacked one after another, trying to stop Lu Ming. However, the combat strength of these people was far inferior to Lu Ming. Lu Weiyang himself was only a 9th-level divine master. The others were not even as strong as Lu Weiyang. How could they stop Lu Ming? Lu Ming's big hand pressed down and the attacks of these people collapsed. The next moment, Lu Ming grabbed Lu Weiyang with his big hand. Lu Ming roared and grabbed Lu Weiyang, only exposing Lu Weiyang's head. Then, he grabbed Lu Weiyang and pressed him into the pool of mud. Lu Ming, how dare you? Do you know who my grandfather is? Lu Weiyang shouted and wanted to use his grandfather to scare Lu Ming. Unfortunately, before he could finish, his head was pressed into the mud. He swallowed a few mouthfuls of mud. He did not know what the mud was made of. It was extremely smelly. After swallowing a few mouthfuls, Lu Weiyang almost vomited. Lu Ming raised his hand and pulled Lu Weiyang's head out of the mud. Lu Ming, I want you to die. I want you to die. Lu Weiyang completely lost it and roared crazily. He was sure that the mud was no different from the mud in a cesspit. It was too smelly. He actually ate such a thing. He was so disgusted that he wanted to vomit. Oh my God, this is a great humiliation. But before he could finish, Lu Ming pressed his head into the mud again. Lu Weiyang's mouth was screaming. Soon, he opened it and poured a few mouthfuls of mud into his mouth. Lu Weiyang struggled madly as if he was having convulsions, his whole body twitching nonstop. But in the hands of Lu Ming, he was like an ant. His struggle was useless. Han Yu was dumbfounded. Lu Ming was quite easy to talk to, but she did not expect him to be so ruthless. For Lu Ming, this was even worse than killing Lu Weiyang. Not only her, the onlookers around were also a little stunned. Lu Ming, do you know who Lu Weiyang's grandfather is? His grandfather is a powerful origin. His grandfather will not let you go if you treat Lu Weiyang like this. A young man roared. A powerful origin? Well, let him wake up and deal with me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. It was the great tribulation of the origin. Lu Ming was very scared to threaten him with an origin. As for the great tribulation of the origin, there were still hundreds of years to go. Those few young men had nothing to say. Lu Ming was simply impervious to all of them. At this time, Lu Ming pulled Lu Weiyang out of the mud again. Lu Ming, spare me, spare me. I know I was wrong, Lu Weiyang shouted. This time, he did not dare to be arrogant. Instead, he admitted his mistake. Since threats were useless, he would admit his mistake for the time being. He had to calm Lu Ming down first. Unfortunately, Lu Ming did not bother to pay attention to him at all. He continued to press Lu Weiyang into the mud. Lu Weiyang's body continued to convulse. During this period, Lu Ming pushed the mud into Lu Weiyang's mouth with his forbidden power. All of it was swallowed by Lu Weiyang. After a while, the pile of mud was almost completely eaten by Lu Weiyang. Then, Lu Ming threw Lu Weiyang onto the lakeside. *blurg. Lu Weiyang lay there and vomited wildly. He was about to vomit bile. Lu Ming stood there and watched quietly. After vomiting for half an hour, Lu Weiyang finally stopped. His face was pale and his face was distorted beyond recognition. He glanced at Lu Ming with hatred, then turned around and left without looking back. The other young men hurriedly followed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Weiyang is a narrow-minded person. He has suffered a great loss this time. I'm afraid he will not let it go. You have to be careful, Han Yu said worriedly. Chapter 5001. Lu Ming didn't care about Han Yu's reminder. So what if Lu Weiyang had a grudge against him? In this era where origin power didn't appear, he was almost invincible. He didn't fear anyone. Han Yu's worry was actually not wrong. Lu Weiyang's resentment towards Lu Ming was simply overwhelming. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn bastard, damn inferior bloodline. After flying far away, Lu Weiyang kept growling. His face was twisted with resentment and looked terrifying. Brother Lu, this Lu Ming is very strong. With our strength, I'm afraid we're no match for him. We need to kill him with a borrowed knife, a young man next to him reminded. Previously, when facing Lu Ming, they couldn't fight back at all. They knew very well that the gap between them and Lu Ming was huge. Of course I know this. But how can we kill him with a borrowed knife? Do you have any ideas? Lu Weiyang asked. Brother Lu, if you want to get someone else to do your dirty work, you have to figure out one thing first. Why is Lu Ming able to walk a distance of 1 million meters under the Holy Luminance Scroll? Previously, he clearly reached his limit when he walked 1,500 meters. A young man next to him spoke. He looked very shrewd. You're right. Lu Ming only has an inferior bloodline. It's already rare for him to be able to walk 1,500 meters. How can he walk a distance of 1 million meters? Could it be? At this point, Lu Weiyang's eyes flickered. He exchanged a look with the shrewd young man and the two of them said in unison, treasure. Yes, it's a treasure. Lu Weiyang said excitedly, this Lu Ming must have some kind of peerless treasure on him. It might even be related to a human king. He must have used that treasure to offset the pressure of the sacred luminance holy scroll. Yes, it must be so. The more he said, the more Lu Weiyang felt that this was the case. He guessed that Lu Ming hadn't used that treasure at the start, and had only used his bloodline power to resist. That was why he had reached his limit at 1,500 meters. Then he had activated that treasure, which had caused his speed to explosively increase. He had continued to advance for 1,000,000 meters. Lu Weiyang and the others were not fools. In fact, their guesses were not far from the truth. However, what Lu Ming used was not a treasure, but his own strength, a taboo strength. This was something they would never have guessed even if they were beaten to death. That's right, that's it. This kind of treasure is absolutely heaven-defying. If it falls into our hands, I'm afraid our bloodline will continue to transform, and our talent and potential will continue to increase. In the future, it will be easy for us to break through the extreme boundary. We might even be able to break through the extreme boundary twice or thrice. The eyes of Lu Weiyang and the others were also burning with greed. At this moment, they were certain that Lu Ming must have some kind of heaven-defying treasure on him, and they wanted to seize it for themselves. But how? With their strength, it was simply not enough. Thinking of this, it was like a basin of cold water poured on their hearts. Even if Lu Ming had a treasure, they couldn't get it. Brother Lu, we can only kill him with a borrowed knife. We can use other people's hands to deal with Lu Ming and seize his treasure. Perhaps, we can also benefit from that treasure and use it to cultivate. The shrewd young man said, that's the only way. Who should we use? Lu Weiyang whispered, Brother Lu, what do you think of Lu Ming's combat strength? Is he at the second extreme boundary? The shrewd young man asked. It shouldn't be the second extreme boundary. When he fought with Zhu Shi, he didn't kill him instantly. Instead, it took him several moves. If he is an expert at the second extreme boundary, I'm afraid he can kill Zhu Shi in one move. I guess Lu Ming's combat strength should be at the limit of the first extreme boundary. He should be at the top of the first extreme boundary. Lu Weiyang said. In that case, let's use Yan Qing to deal with Lu Ming. Yan Cheng's combat strength is at the second extreme boundary. He has always wanted to break through to the third extreme boundary, but his talent and potential have reached the limit. If we let him know that there is such a treasure, he will definitely be tempted. The shrewd young man said, Then let's use Yan Cheng. We just need to leak this news to Yan Cheng. Lu Weiyang said and immediately went to Yan Cheng's residence. Lu Ming was still at the lakeside where the Holy Luminance Holy Scroll was. He didn't leave. He planned to use the Holy Luminance Holy Scroll to purify his bloodline. He didn't run the forbidden power. He just resisted it with his body. He walked more than 1,000 meters away and sat cross-legged on the lake. The powerful pressure of the Holy Luminance Holy Scroll was constantly exerting on him. He was covered by a layer of blood. He could feel that his human bloodline was slowly transforming. At some point, a young man appeared at the lakeside. His cold eyes fell on Lu Ming. This person was called Yan Qing. However, there were too many people here. He couldn't do anything at all. He could only secretly observe from afar and look for an opportunity. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. 10 days later, Lu Ming left the lake. "Brother Lu, why don't you continue to cultivate?" Han Yu asked curiously. "Cultivating for 10 days is slow. I'd better cultivate another day." Lu Ming smiled. Of course, this was just an excuse. In fact, his progress wasn't slow. In these 10 days, his human bloodline had indeed transformed and become purer. However, Lu Ming found that the improvement of his human bloodline didn't help improve his combat strength at all. His combat strength didn't improve at all. Lu Ming already knew that the purification of the human bloodline wouldn't improve their combat strength. It would improve their talent and potential. However, as a forbidden body, his talent and potential were so strong that he didn't need to purify his bloodline at all. He was confident that his talent and potential were definitely not worse than the top geniuses of the human race. Was there anyone in the Zhongqing divine realm who had broken through 4 times? Therefore, instead of wasting time purifying his bloodline, it was better to spend more time comprehending Genesis techniques. Lu Ming and Han Yu returned to their residence together. Seeing that Lu Ming and Han Yu were walking together, Yan Cheng could only follow from afar. He didn't have a chance to attack. The current era was no longer the previous era where the human race ruled the world. The human race was now very few in number. They were facing pressure from the creatures of the 5 forbidden lands. Therefore, the human race had to be united. Although there was no prohibition against fighting among the human race, it was absolutely forbidden to kill and steal treasures among members of the same race. If such a thing was discovered, they would definitely be punished severely. Therefore, if they wanted to kill and steal treasures, they had to do it secretly. When Lu Ming returned to his residence, Yan Cheng also appeared not far away. He still didn't attack. Lu Ming wasn't the only one living nearby. Han Yu and a few others also lived nearby. If he attacked, others would definitely be alerted. He continued to stand guard outside and waited. He heard from Lu Weiyang that Lu Ming might have a treasure that could allow Lu Ming to walk 1,000,000 meters with the help of the sacred luminance scroll. He was very tempted. Once he obtained such a treasure, he would definitely be able to break through his limit and break through 3 times. Chapter 5002. Yan Cheng stood guard outside Lu Ming's residence, waiting for Lu Ming to leave so that he could find an opportunity to attack. This wait lasted for half a year. Lu Ming had not taken a single step out of his room during this half a year. He had been in secluded cultivation to comprehend Genesis techniques. While comprehending Genesis techniques, he also waited for news from Mullins. Secluded cultivation for half a year was all too common, but waiting outside for half a year was not pleasant at all. Damn it, how long do I have to wait? If he goes into secluded cultivation for tens of thousands of years or even longer, do I have to wait here? Yan Cheng roared in his heart. It was all too common for divine masters to go into secluded cultivation for tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years. This was especially true for peak divine masters. It was normal for them to go into secluded cultivation for longer periods of time in order to attack the origin source. No, I can't just wait. I need to change my strategy. Yan Cheng muttered as his mind rapidly turned. After a while, his eyes brightened as he made a decision. He stepped forward and arrived outside Lu Ming's courtyard as his voice rang out. "I am Yan Cheng. I have come to pay my respects." In the courtyard, Lu Ming opened his eyes when he heard the voice. "Yan Cheng? I've never heard of him. I don't think it's anything good for him to suddenly come looking for me." Lu Ming's heart trembled. However, he was bold and fearless as he loudly said, "Please come in." With a wave of his hand, the door to the courtyard swung open. Yan Cheng walked in and saw Lu Ming standing in the middle of the courtyard. "Brother Lu." Yan Cheng sized up Lu Ming for a moment before cupping his fists together. "Brother Yan, We have never met before. May I know why you've come looking for me? Lu Ming asked. I've heard that Brother Lu's battle power is extremely high, and I'm itching to spar with Brother Lu. I hope Brother Lu can give me some pointers. Yan Qing cupped his fists together as he looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. His battle intent was overwhelming, as if he had to fight no matter what. As expected, it's nothing good. Lu Ming thought to himself. Since Brother Yan is in the mood, let's have a spar. Lu Ming immediately agreed. He knew that Yan Qing definitely had a motive for coming here. He would definitely not let the matter rest. Even if he refused, Yan Qing would probably find another reason to attack. Thus, he might as well directly agree and suppress the other party. Seeing Lu Ming agree, Yan Qing was overjoyed and said, Brother Lu, a simple spar is too boring. How about we add some stakes? Here it comes. Lu Ming knew that Yan Qing was about to reveal his true purpose. However, this was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. In his opinion, the other party was here to give him something. What prize? Lu Ming asked cooperatively. I heard that Brother Lu has a treasure that can help you walk 1,000,000 meters under the sacred luminant scroll. Let's use this treasure as the wager. If Brother Lu loses, you have to lend this treasure to me for 100 years. What do you think? Yan Qing said. He didn't say that if Lu Ming lost, the treasure would belong to him. Instead, he said that he would borrow it for 100 years. He was afraid that if he directly said that it belonged to him, Lu Ming wouldn't dare to take the gamble. When the treasure was in his hands, it would be up to him whether he would return it or not. Treasure? So you think I can walk 1,000,000 meters under the sacred luminant scroll because of a treasure? Lu Ming was a little amused. Lu Weiyang, it seems that you want to kill me with a borrowed knife. Lu Ming immediately realized that this matter most likely had something to do with Lu Weiyang. Lu Weiyang thought that Lu Ming relied on some kind of treasure to walk 1,000,000 meters under the sacred luminant scroll. However, his own strength was far inferior to Lu Ming's, so he wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. He leaked the news to Yan Qing and wanted to use Yan Qing to deal with him. It made perfect sense. Okay, I agree. But if you lose, what will you use as the wager? Lu Ming said. I will use this source-level magic weapon as the wager. If I lose, this source-level magic weapon will be yours. As he spoke, a battle sword appeared in Yan Qing's hand. The battle sword was extremely sharp. It was indeed a source-level magic weapon. Okay, it's a deal. Lu Ming said. Although this battle sword was not a top-level source-level magic weapon and was just an ordinary source-level magic weapon, an ordinary source-level magic weapon was still very precious. In Heaven Destroyer, more than half of the origin energy did not have a source-level magic weapon. The more source-level magic weapons, the better. Since the other party wanted to give him a source-level magic weapon, there was no reason to refuse. He agreed so readily? Seeing that Lu Ming agreed so readily, Yan Qing felt a little uncertain in his heart. Could it be that Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely powerful, so he was so confident? It shouldn't be. I'm a 2-time source-breaking expert. In the universe, how many people can break through twice? He probably doesn't know my combat strength, so he's so confident. Yan Qing's mind raced as he tried to persuade himself. Brother Lu, please. Suppressing the uneasiness in his heart, Yan Qing exuded a powerful aura. A vast aura was emitted from Yan Qing's body. This aura made Lu Ming feel a little pressured. It did not come from the other party's combat strength, but from the other party's bloodline. Yan Qing's human bloodline was extremely powerful and pure. It was like an ordinary divine dragon facing a 9-clawed dragon. Just the aura of the 9-clawed dragon alone was enough to make an ordinary divine dragon not dare to attack and bow down obediently. Yan Qing knew that Lu Ming had an inferior bloodline, so when he attacked, he surged his blood essence and emitted a powerful aura. Under the aura of the bloodline, he could only use 60% of his strength. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming used a little taboo energy, and the aura disappeared without a trace. Then, Lu Ming directly attacked. With the taboo energy, he condensed a long spear and smashed it towards the other party. The spear light buzzed and carried a terrifying power. And the power was very condensed and did not dissipate. The terrifying power was completely concentrated in one place. Yan Cheng's face changed drastically. As soon as Lu Ming attacked, he could feel the terrifying power contained in the spear light. Without hesitation, he exploded with all his strength and used his strongest move to attack Lu Ming's spear light. In the next moment, the two attacks collided. There was no violent explosion, nor was there any wanton force. Because Lu Ming's spear light had instantly defeated Yan Cheng's attack, and the terrifying power fell on Yan Cheng's body. Yan Cheng's body trembled violently, and he retreated a dozen steps before he could stabilize himself. However, he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. I've lost. Yan Cheng's face was pale. He was defeated in just one move. He was defeated by Lu Ming as easily as breaking dead weeds and smashing rotten wood. Lu Ming's combat strength was clearly far above his. It was a complete suppression. Could it be that this person has the combat strength of a thrice extreme break? How can an inferior bloodline have such a strong combat strength? Yan Cheng was horrified. To be able to defeat him with such a crushing momentum without causing the slightest commotion, it was absolutely impossible for someone who had broken through the extreme break twice. Only a thrice extreme break could do it. In fact, he did not know that Lu Ming had not used his full strength at all and had shown mercy. Chapter 5003. If Lu Ming had used his full strength, Yan Cheng would not have just been injured. Instead, he would have likely been killed. Lu Ming had only used a portion of his strength, but it was already enough to make Yan Cheng so terrified. Do you still want to continue? Lu Ming did not continue as he icily asked. Lu Weiyang has misled me. Yan Cheng roared in his heart, his expression extremely ugly. In the end, he squeezed out a smile that was even uglier than crying. Brother Lu is truly a rare genius. Yan Cheng wholeheartedly accepts his defeat. What else could he do but admit defeat? After exchanging blows with Lu Ming earlier, he understood that the gap between him and Lu Ming was too great. If he continued, he would only be looking for a beating. How could he possibly dare to continue? Oh, if that's the case, then that source-grade weapon is mine. Lu Ming's eyes shined brightly as he looked at Yan Cheng, his powerful aura completely locking onto Yan Cheng. Yan Cheng really did not want to hand it over, but from Lu Ming's attitude, it would not be so easy for him to walk out of this courtyard if he did not hand it over. His expression grew increasingly ugly as he struggled in his heart. In the end, he decided to admit defeat and took out the source-level divine weapon and handed it to Lu Ming. Many thanks, many thanks. Lu Ming grinned as he received it, but Yan Cheng's heart was dripping blood. Then I shall not disturb you any further. Goodbye. Yan Cheng cupped his fists together and quickly left. He hated Lu Weiyang to the bone. If not for Lu Weiyang, would he have lost an origin-grade weapon? After Yan Cheng left, Lu Ming continued his secluded cultivation to comprehend his genesis techniques. Lu Weiyang's residence. Yan Cheng has already entered Lu Ming's courtyard. Looks like there will be a result soon. Lu Weiyang was all smiles. He could already see Lu Ming being killed. Even if he was not killed, he would be beaten to a pulp. In the vicinity of Lu Ming's residence, he naturally sent people to secretly monitor it. Not long ago, they sent back news that Yan Cheng had entered Lu Ming's residence. He was now waiting for good news. As he spoke, he received a message from the voice transmission Jade Talisman. So fast. Lu Weiyang knew at a glance that it was sent by the people who were monitoring Lu Ming's residence. He was slightly surprised when he saw the content of the message. What did he say? The shrewd young man asked. According to the news, Yan Cheng has already left Lu Ming's residence and returned to his own residence. Lu Weiyang said. So fast? It seems that Lu Ming only has the power of a first-stage extreme breaker. He's not Yan Cheng's opponent at all, so he was suppressed so quickly. It seems Yan Cheng has already succeeded. The shrewd young man analyzed. Let's go. We'll look for Yan Cheng and find out more about the situation. If possible, we'll be able to get some benefits, Lu Weiyang said. If Yan Cheng really managed to get his hands on Lu Ming's treasure, they wanted it too. Perhaps they could borrow it from Yan Cheng for a period of time. Thinking of this, their hearts were burning with eagerness. They rushed to Yan Cheng's residence impatiently. When Yen Cheng returned to his residence, he swallowed a few divine pills, sat cross-legged, and healed his injuries. Not long after he healed, he heard a voice coming from outside. "Brother Yen, are you here? Lu Weiyang wants to see you." Yen Cheng abruptly opened his eyes, flames of fury burning within them. He hadn't gone to find trouble with Lu Weiyang yet, but Lu Weiyang came to find him. How dare he? If it weren't for Lu Weiyang's grandfather, he would have killed his way to Lu Weiyang's place. However, there were only a few hundred years before the Origin Tribulation. At that time, Lu Weiyang's grandfather would wake up. He knew very well that Lu Weiyang's grandfather was very powerful. Even in the Origin, he was considered a powerful expert. Yen Cheng didn't have any backing, so he didn't dare to offend Lu Weiyang too much. Taking a deep breath, Yen Cheng suppressed the anger in his heart. With a wave of his hand, the gate of the courtyard opened. He said coldly, "Come in." Lu Weiyang and the others strode in and saw Yen Cheng. "Congratulations, Brother Yen. Congratulations, Brother Yen. You've obtained a supreme treasure. There's hope for you to break through 3 times in the future. I'm really envious." Lu Weiyang smiled and cupped his fists to congratulate him as soon as he arrived, but his voice became softer and softer as he spoke, because he saw Yen Cheng's face getting uglier and uglier. At this moment, the anger in Yen Cheng's heart had completely exploded. He could no longer suppress it. "Lu Weiyang, are you here to laugh at me?" Yen Cheng said coldly. "Laugh at you? Brother Yen, why do you say that?" Lu Weiyang said. He already had a bad feeling in his heart. "Get lost." Yen Cheng could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. With a roar, a violent aura rushed out, forcing Lu Weiyang and the others to stagger back. "Yen Cheng, what are you doing?" Lu Weiyang shouted. "Get lost. If you don't get lost, I'll throw you out." Yen Cheng roared. If it weren't for his fear of Lu Weiyang's grandfather, Yen Cheng would have definitely attacked at this moment and stomped his foot on Lu Weiyang's face. The fact that he could resist the urge to attack was already very strong. Even so, Yen Cheng was already on the verge of going berserk. "Let's go." Seeing that Yen Cheng was about to go berserk, Lu Weiyang and the others did not dare to stay any longer. They hurriedly left Yen Cheng's residence and ran far away as if they were fleeing. "What's wrong with Yen Cheng? Why did he suddenly go crazy?" A young man shouted in a bad mood. It seems that not only did Yen Cheng fail, but he also suffered a great loss in the hands of Lu Ming, the shrewd young man said. "That's right. Yen Cheng's aura is weak. He should be injured." Could it be that he was injured by Lu Ming? That Lu Ming actually has such combat strength? Lu Weiyang said in a low voice with an ugly expression. Lu Ming could actually injure Yen Cheng. How was this possible? Could it be that Lu Ming hid his strength when he was dealing with Zhu Shi? Otherwise, how could he explain Yen Cheng's angry appearance after being injured? Yen Cheng should have suffered a loss in the hands of Lu Ming. I wonder if that Lu Ming was injured? The shrewd young man said. Whether Lu Ming was injured or not made a big difference. If Lu Ming was also injured, it meant that Lu Ming's combat strength was about the same as Yen Cheng's. Even if he was stronger, he wouldn't be much stronger. If Lu Ming wasn't injured, then Lu Ming's combat strength would be terrifying. "Send someone to keep an eye on Lu Ming at all times," Lu Weiyang shouted angrily. He was very unhappy. Whether Lu Ming was injured or not, at least it proved that Lu Ming had the combat strength of at least the second stage of breaking through. A mere inferior bloodline actually had such combat strength. He was mad with jealousy. "Brother Lu, what should we do now? Are we just going to let it go?" Another young man said. "How can we just let it go?" Lu Weiyang's eyes were extremely cold and full of killing intent. When he thought of the scene of swallowing mud, he felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. That was his nightmare. The anger in his heart and the killing intent in his heart couldn't be suppressed. He had to take revenge for this. "Maybe we can start with Mulin's," the shrewd young man said. "You're right." Lu Ming said that he is Mulin's junior brother, but I feel that their relationship is not that simple, Lu Weiyang said.